There were complaints, and this still goes on, this goes on all the time, there were complaints that some of the court hearings were in chambers, which is also known as a star chamber. In preliminary hearings or status hearings where there was no record being made. Okay, the committee is of the opinion that any time the court has a hearing or any conversation with one or both litigants or their attorneys, that a record be either made by either a reporter or electronically transcribed by the court. The problem is court reporters work for the judges. They can modify the record any way they want to. What we really need is an independent system of court reporting, people who are freed from the judges. As to the evaluation, facts indicate that there should be closer control by the court to reduce expenses to the litigants and eliminate the impression that the social worker, psychologist, or other appropriate professional are making the decisions. See, this is the Pontius Pilate of the court system. You know, they can say, oh, well, we got our guy in the court clinic or the guardian ad litem who's a court-appointed lawyer, and they can say, oh, wow, okay, now we can pass off the responsibility of the decision-making to somebody else. And I'm free. I'm just washing my hands, you know. My hands are clean, except they're dirty underneath their robes. Everything else under their robes is dirty. This is where it gets interesting. The committee, in numerous instances, was disturbed by the reports of attorneys' fees in domestic relations cases. It was pointed out that there were instances where such fees equaled the value of the disputed property or were equal to a good portion of the wage earner's annual net income after taxes.
Well, explain that in like
that means
some farm boys term like myself here. Explain that to us. What are they saying?
This is picking your pocket. This means that the lawyers are, because of continuing jurisdiction, which was authorized by the federal government under the Child Support Act, the Social Security TANF Act, that the courts have continuing jurisdiction where children are concerned. This is the real problem. This is where it becomes true child abuse.
So let me just say, correct me if I'm wrong. So if I'm giving my attorney $50,000, then that's the amount of money that they're going to try to get in property from the other parent?
No, that's what you're giving your attorney. The other party gives their attorney $50,000.
Okay.
So you're talking.
They have to take the property from each parent.
Yes, they take it from everybody. They just take the property and pull it into the system.
But this is why we had a revolution in this country, isn't it?
Well, yeah, and point of fact, that's the idea of the transference of wealth, which is mentioned in the Declaration of Independence. The transference of wealth is a big deal. I mean, we were sending money over to England because they weren't governing us. They weren't giving us any kind of good government. They were just taking money. The same is happening now on a state basis and a national basis. We can see now that, you know, health industry's spending like $300 million to not get reform of health care.
We have a phone call.
Oh.
All right.
Let's listen. Hello?
Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
What can we do for you? Do you have a question for Bill O'Connell?
Yes, I do.
Go.
I would like to know if this report can be made public or put on the internet so that anyone can access it and read it.
That's a good question.
That's a good question.
We will try our best to do that.
We can probably do that, but if I'll tell you what, if you leave your phone number with the guys in the back, I can scan a copy and send it to you if you have an email.
We have the phone number.
Okay.
Fine.
I'll be giving you a call.
And please
Thank you.
show it to your friends, right?
Yes. Show it to everybody you know. This is.
I will.
I have a quick story of how I got this. It was kind of secretive. One of the members of PODCA, this was kind of a legendary thing that happened. We didn't know about this, and I hadn't seen it. And it was 4 or 5 years after I got involved in this, and one of the members of PODCA called me up one night and whispered to me, Bill, you never guess what I found. And I said, well, what did you find? I said, you got to come over and see it. And this was the first time any of us had seen a copy of this outside of the people from PODCA. So this is a good report to have. This is a good ammunition to have.
Well, you talk about the transfer of wealth, and this is a serious problem because people walk away from the court system broke and they have nothing.
Well, you have to realize what these people have in mind. First of all, there's an industry which involves shrinks of all kinds, lawyers, judges, real estate agents. There's all kinds of people involved in this. There's the secretaries in the court system. I mean, there's all kinds of people involved in this.
Well, we found out
and so
last
there's
week
a huge industry
that
involved.
that New Mexico leads the nation in removing children from
Yes.
the home. So you find out that there's these illegal activities that happen, and then isn't there some, we want to do something, and there's immunity, and there's these kinds of things that protect these individuals like judges and the judicial system.
This is precisely the problem I've talked about in the past on the show, and I will continue to talk about and discuss absolutely. And this is what we're going to try and get on the internet as soon as we get our ducks in a row.
Bill, why don't you talk about the rest of that report
Okay.
and
Yeah,
some
let
of
me
the
talk
other
about-
major points?
yeah.
Because we probably want to revisit this Paulentis report that was done in 1988.
This was done in August of 1988. In continuing jurisdiction, and reopened cases, we feel a deterrent effect would be created if the Supreme Court, the state Supreme Court, would adopt a rule assessing at the trial court's discretion attorney's fees and other costs against the losing party. It appears to the committee that many rehearing issues were frivolous. Remember, many rehearing issues were frivolous. That means, you see, they're just picking your pocket for no reason. Because there are no rules of evidence, because there are no rules of procedure, there's nothing shackling these people from doing everything wrong.
But Bill, even I know I'm jumping ahead, but even the rules that pertain to attorneys in New Mexico, like Rule 11, are in violation of federal law. Is that right?
No. Rule 11
tell me about
Rule
that.
11 kind of just departs from the federal Rule 11. Rule 11 exists to prevent attorneys from making false statements in court. Again, but if you have no rules of evidence, Rule 11 doesn't matter.
So it doesn't, they could make all kinds of false statements.
They can say
and
anything
they're
they want to
protected.
because without rules of evidence or without rules of procedure, it's a free-for-all.
How can-
you might as well be playing King of the Hill in kindergarten.
Well,
it's just the same thing.
It seems as if New Mexico does not, and this is an important point, does not adopt the rule that the United States Constitution is the supreme law of the land.
Absolutely, and we know that from your case, because the domestic relations hearing rule that the Supreme Court created here defies not only state law, but it defies federal law. So therefore, Article 6 of the Constitution of the United States says that the Constitution of the United States and the federal law shall be supreme throughout the land. Guess what? New Mexico is not part of the Union because they don't follow federal law at all. And the federal courts go along with this, the federal U.S. attorneys go along with this. They all close their eyes to the problem because, you know what? This is just too dang profitable for the politicians. You got to remember, attorneys that work for the government want to go into private practice. They want to go to work for private law firms.
Or how about run for lieutenant governor?
Or
like
run
Brian
for lieutenant governor, or run for Congress, or and they can't do that without the moneyed backing of the money that lawyers steal from their clients.
Do you have one other thing that you want to just add?
There
We've
is,
got
there
just a
is,
few
yeah.
seconds left.
The one thing I do want to read here, and this is important. We'll come back to this in a few weeks. In domestic relations cases, a speedy resolution is necessary because of the emotional, traumatic nature of such cases. The traumatic effect of this on children and parents is devastating to the society as a whole.
And
Not
it's-
just to the parents that are involved in the cases and their extended families.
And it's creating all kinds of societal problems.
It's creating all kinds of societal problems.
Bill, we got to have you back on. Talk more about the Paulentis report, immunity, and the system here in New Mexico, which is broken.
Be happy to do it.
Bill O'Connell, our guest tonight on You Judge. We hope that you enjoyed the program, and we'll be on again next week.
Yeah, we're off. Okay.